What is up with my loose sneery? Tune in to find out. Today, we're going to be talking about my May monthly update. So I'm going to share with you what's going on in my orchid collection and just some projects that I am working on. So first, we're going to go with what's in bloom. And the first thing I'm really excited to share with you is my Laelia Zip. This cattleya bloomed for me last year, and it also held a seed pod. After the seed pod was removed, the buds just really started to grow in this sheath, and it has flowered. So it has 4 flowers, and 3 are kind of looking in the same direction, and the other one is looking kind of the opposite direction. But nonetheless, the flowers are really stunning. Now, this particular plant is a little smaller and more compact of the Laelia Zips. I think it takes after the Milleri parent. It also has that kind of star shape that's a little bit more streamlined than the Laelia tenebrosa, which is the other parent. These flowers have been open for at least a week or more, and with higher temperatures, they're starting to fade and not look its best. But it has really deep saturation, and it's kind of hard to tell. It's like a mix of this like hot red and burgundy color. The next plant in bloom is a terrestrial. This one is the Amitostigma anomote. Now, this one is a hybrid of this type of orchid, and so it has slightly larger flowers, and it has kind of this pink blush throughout it. I consider this kind of like that person or man orchid, where the flowers kind of look like a person. It's not the same as the terrestrial that's grown in Europe, but I think this is a cute representation, and it looks just as cool. So I think this one is kind of like my version of that plant. So this plant's growing season is really short and really quick. So in April, it broke dormancy and it grew these nice green leaves, and then in May it put up a flower spike and the flowers appeared, and by the end of May now the flowers have all died, and so I'm just waiting for the rest of the plant to slowly die back and create new tubers for the next season. Now, the next plant is my Neostylus lucernary dark pink, and this one is a really cool plant because it has these really deep dark purple flowers. But this is the first time it's flowered for me. I've been waiting to see these flowers, and they are really deeply saturated. It's kind of that purpley magenta tone, and it's kind of almost electric in the sunlight. Looking at this plant, it looks like there's something wrong, so I was going to do a cross with this plant, and I used Avanda cerulean and Avanda tricolor split. So like the left, I think, is the cerulean and the right is the tricolor. The interesting thing about this plant is that when it is pollinated, the color of the flower actually fades. So it kind of has more of a white tone now to it, and all the purple kind of got sucked out. So on the right, I see that the flowers are pretty much aborted. I don't think those are going to be turning into seed pods. So I think that's why the flowers themselves have started to kind of turn more inward. And on the other side, where it's still kind of white, I think those ones are going to be able to create some fertile pods. So I'm really excited to see that, and it's kind of neat and cool to see how the flowers react to pollination. Now, the next set of plants are all phals. So this is the season for me where all my phals are in bloom, whether they're winter blooming or summer blooming or however you want to call them. In one way, it's really cool because all the plants are blooming at the same time. You get a large show of phals. But on the other hand, I kind of wanted to stagger them around. Like, that's why I wanted some of the winter bloomers and the summer bloomers. So it kind of covers 2 seasons of flowers. But that doesn't happen that way, and I guess I'm just gonna have to learn to live with that. The first one I'm really excited about is my Phal Mustache. So this one I picked up from Orchids from Hauserman early this season, and I loved it because it was basically a white harlequin Phal with this kind of mustache pattern on the lip. And looking at it now, it's very whimsical. I mean, each flower has a different look to it because of the harlequin patterning, and one has a face, one looks like it's winking, and the other one's just a happy mustache smile. So I think it was really fun, and I'm really glad I picked this one up, and I know that there's more flowers coming in, so I'm really excited to share with you all the little faces from this mustache Phal. Now, similarly, there's another harlequin I have, and it's a no ID, and this one is a pretty standard Phal. It has these kind of little spotting striping on it, and I think it's pretty cool. So now that I know what this Phal looks like, I'm able to probably send this one on its way to a new home, and someone will enjoy these no ID Phals. The next plant is the Tysco Jasper. Now, this is one of my favorite hybrids, and I don't have very many complex Phal hybrids, but this one I just really love. This one has a really unique pattern patterned look to it. I think it's very similar to a Pulcherima type, and so that's why it has that kind of purple edging on the petals. I crossed this plant with my Modesta, and so right now there's one seed pod developing on the bottom of this spike, so I'm really excited to see how that one will do or what it will look like, because I don't think this kind of cross has been made before. Now the next plant is the Phalaenopsis Sogo vivien. Now I have two of them and both of them are in bloom now, and I just really love how this plant looks. It's really small and compact. It has these beautiful flush of purple flowers with this kind of veining throughout, and it's just really nice to see them again. Once again, these are one of my favorites because it has variegated leaves, it has this beautiful patterning and this purple color, and they're just so small and compact and adorable. Like just having more than one is just super awesome. And then the last one is the Phalaenopsis Amobulus. I think this is the Irian Java 24-hour fragrance variety. So this one is a really tall, kind of lanky phal. This species is one of the ones that are used to make those classic standard white phals that you see at the grocery stores, but I think the species itself is way more beautiful and interesting because it has these kind of pale, almost like grayish sheen, silvery sheen on the leaves. It gives it kind of a matte effect, and then the flowers themselves have a very open characteristic. This is kind of the opposite look of what people want for a phal, because they like that kind of big round dinner plate full petaled look, but I like this one. It kind of has more of a unique presentation. Not only that, but this one comes with a fragrance, so it actually has this very light jasmine-y scent. It took a while for the fragrance to develop, but after the first day, on the second day, you can just smell it, and it actually does smell almost 24 hours a day, which is really fantastic because a lot of these phals, when they're fragrant, they're only fragrant for certain times of the day or depending on the heat or humidity of your room. And so sometimes you don't always get the fragrance that you can appreciate during the times that you're there. So I put this plant in a tall cymbidium pot, and I think it just matches the look of this plant a lot better. There are rocks at the bottom to stabilize it so that it will continue to grow and it will allow the leaves to kind of hang down. That's its natural pendant habit. Also, the flower spike is really tall. It's almost like a 3-foot tall plant with the flowers and everything all combined. So it definitely takes up a lot of space. It's like very tall and skinny. So that's what's going on in terms of blooms for my collection, and in terms of projects, there is a lot going on. I am anticipating a couple of hauls coming in, and I'll share them with you as I go on, but also shows and open houses and things are just kind of in full swing. I think everything's just really opening up, so there is a lot of really exciting events coming on. Also, I'm kind of trying something new. I have a couple of Orangus and Agracoids that have been surviving, not necessarily thriving, so I think it's about time for me to kind of do a little revamp and kind of give them kind of a makeover or facelift. So the two Orangus that I've been working on is the Orangus Kernowiana or punctata, and the other one is a Fastuosa. So I put the Fastuosa in a pot of bark in a net pot, and then kind of set it in a bonsai pot along with the Kernowiana. And that plant, it has been growing and it did bloom, but I didn't catch the blooms. And now it just kind of looks a little dehydrated. So I tied it to a piece of cholla wood, and I kind of set it in this bonsai pot with some bark and some rocks on the bottom. It's half decorative and also half functional. So I also put about a bit of Spanish moss to increase the humidity in this area. And also I'll be watering this one almost every day, every other day in the summer season to just really bump up the hydration of this plant. I know that these plants really need a lot of humidity and a lot of water during the summer season because they grow in this kind of monsoonal conditions where they are normally from. The last thing that's kind of fun is that the Lego Botanical collection has come out, and I got the one for the Phalaenopsis. So I will be working on building that. Found out there are a couple of kind of stuffed plants. I don't know how to describe it, but it's kind of like these stuffed plushies that I found from Jellycat, and these are the Phalaenopsis types that they have. So there's a white one and a purple one, and I think they're really cute because it has these cute faces on the planter pots, and they just look adorable. So this is kind of part of an orchid themed display. So I'll have my Legos, I'll have some plushies, and maybe I'll find some other things and add to that collection. So I really want to emphasize and focus on increasing the aesthetic look of my plants and my orchid space. So that's what's going on in the month of May in my orchid collection and in kind of the general projects that I'm working on. I'd love to know what you're working on, what you're doing, and how the summer season has been for you, because I'm really looking forward to all of the new growth that's coming up, and it is just going to be really exciting. So thanks so much for watching, and if you want to see more orchid updates, click on the playlist, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye!